So inside Google Classroom, you will find this Ansel Adams photography Photoshop steps document. And it says in order to get started, we click on this link. And what we're going to do is we're going to search and save an image to our desktop folder and then open it in Photoshop. So I'm going to click on the link. And it launches to this site. And then I can pick any of these images. So this is from one of his portfolios. And here's another. So there's a lot of different images that you can click on. So what you need to do is take a minute to kind of scroll through, find something that you think might be interesting, and then click on that one to work on it. So I think I would like to work with this image. So I'm going to right click, save image as. And you can just not name it and save it to your folder, or you can name it what the project is, which we will see in a little bit, which is your last name, and A for Ansel Adams. So because I saved it, I can click down here on this JPEG, and it should automatically launch into Photoshop. If yours does not, you can just simply go to File, Open, and get yours to open in Photoshop. So here I have my image. I'm going to go back to the Google Doc. That gives me directions. So it says search and save an image to your desktop and open it in Photoshop, which we did. One thing that's really important is a lot of these color modes are a little bit different for each file that you open. Some are in black and white, which won't be helpful because what we're going to do is we're going to take his famous black and white photos and transfer color onto them. So in order to do that, we need to make sure that it is RGB, red, green, blue color mode. So I'm going to go here, go to Image, Mode, and I do see that there is an RGB check next to this, so this file is correct. If it isn't, then I just simply click on that to make that highlighted. I can also see here in the parentheses it says that it's an RGB color mode. Now I need to save my file, and I need to do File, Save As, Desktop, Your Folder, rename it last name AA, which we already did, and I need to make sure that I change that format to PSD. Right now it's a JPEG. So I'm doing File, Save As again. I'm checking that is my folder. I already named my file correctly. If you need to change it, change it. And then I'm switching it to a PSD and pressing Save. We're going to be working with layers. That's why we're switching to a PSD. Number 4, create a new layer for each area that you are working on. On the top of the screen, go to Layer, New Layer. Name your layer, whatever it is. So if I'm working on my sky, it would be sky. If I'm working on a mountain, mountain, tree, etc. The more layers you add, the better. For example, I could have 1, 2, 3, 4 different layers just to start. So I'm going to go ahead and I will start with the sky. So I'll go up and do Layer, New Layer. I will name it Sky. Select the layer to work on. Select the color you would like to use for this layer. To work on large areas, select a paint bucket from the toolbar. Dump this color onto that correct layer. To work on a small area, select the brush tool from the toolbar. So here I have my sky layer. I can see that it's highlighted over here. I want my sky to be a blue, and I'm going to use blue to white, which is the gradient. Now, you guys notice that that sky covered up my Photoshop file. So what I need to do is I need to change the blending mode. So it said located in your layers menu. Play around with the different blending modes until you find one that suits your needs. Remember, you can make your world realistic or fantasy. So here I have my sky, and it's directly on top of this image, and I cannot see it because currently the layers mode is normal. I'm going to select multiply. And as you can see now, I can see through it. If I want, I could do Control T and I could scale this so that the sky is a little bit higher. And also I'm noticing that I do still need to erase, so I'm using the brackets to make my brush bigger. And right now I have hard edge, which is fine. If you want soft edge, you can do that. It's really up to you. And I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to start to erase where I don't want that sky to overlap with my mountain. And then I'm going to make my brush smaller. I'm using that shift key. And I'm erasing just inside the mountain. If I erase just outside of it, then it's going to create this weird outline, and it's not going to look good. So wherever you can use a gradation to kind of blend multiple colors together, it's just going to look nicer than one solid color. I do have sky over here, but because this is on top of a black area, even if I erase it, no one's really going to know the difference. So I'm leaving that alone. All right, Control 0, fit to screen. Now maybe I want to start to color in these mountains. So layer, new layer, mountains. And maybe I want them to be a rusty brown. Maybe I also want to do a gradient to that. So I just have my two colors, light to dark, using the gradient. Making sure my mountain layer is highlighted, which it is. And that's not a very subtle change from light to dark. That's better. Multiply. And you know what? I think I want it more at an angle. And now I can go in with my eraser and erase. Control plus. I'm using the space bar, I'm using my brackets, and I'm erasing wherever that sky is. I'm also going quicker than I would like you guys to go, just because I don't want this movie or this video to last forever. I'd like you guys, right, to be taking your time. For this project, if you finish before the deadline, then you are making multiples. So if you finish one and the due date has not come yet, then you're going to make more. Some kids are able to work faster in Photoshop than others. And if that's the case, then you just need to continue to create. So here, I want these trees to come back again. I'm going to switch back E eraser, and I'm going to switch to a soft edge eraser, because erasing around these trees is going to be quite a difficult task. And I really just want to pull these ones forward so I can get some green on them. Again, if you make a mistake, you just simply go back in your history and undo. If it's a recent mistake, you can just press Control Z. If you want to use realistic colors, you may. If you want to kind of experiment and play around with different types of colors, that is also allowed. So again, I'm zooming in, I'm zooming out, using the Control plus and minus. And this is a soft edge eraser, because going in and trying to erase all of these trees would just be very difficult. So with the soft edge eraser, it kind of allows me to make, I guess, mistakes that aren't as dramatic or obvious with a hard edge. All right, So now what I need to do is maybe start to think about the water here. So layer, new layer, river. I would probably try and do a darker blue so that it doesn't look exactly like the sky. And dumping gradient or paint bucket is not going to look good because it's a smaller area. So I'm going to go in with my paintbrush and paint. And I need to switch this to multiply. And then I can Control plus zoom in, E for eraser, and go back in and erase. I'm still using that soft edge eraser because I am still near these trees. I would like you guys to be doing this with more care than I am. So there I have my water, and then, you know, now maybe I want to go and do the trees, which is a green. Layer, new layer, tree, paintbrush, B, and if when you're painting you don't want to leave it as normal and you want to switch it to multiply while you're painting, of course you can. I just kind of go in and fill it all in, and then I'll go back with my eraser to clean it up later. All right, and then I would go in and erase that. It's important that you guys have everything on its own layer because that allows you to make adjustments and changes as you go forward. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you is this. Because you are doing multiply, if you had, let's say, the yellow layer and then a red layer, if you put those two on top of each other, it would create orange, which is pretty cool. So think about adding multiple layers, especially multiple layers of color, and what would happen. Even though right now all of my layers are at 100%, let me escape, go back. I could go in, let's say my trees are too strong, and I could not only leave it at multiply for the mode, but I could also change the opacity to soften them. Using multiple blending modes, so we've focused on multiply only. You can play around with the other blending modes to see if there's something else that you would like. Think about having a soft edge versus a hard edge. These are all very soft and gradual. This is an example of some of that color kind of bleeding down into the mountains versus just straight black and white. This is a soft edge versus a hard edge. Okay, so this kind of looks like the moon is casting some light onto the side of this mountain versus this is a little bit harsher. This is all one color. This is blending multiple colors. And that is it. So let's go back to the steps. So multiply, use the eraser to delete any overlap. For instance, the sky layer shouldn't overlap into the mountains. If it does, you must use the eraser. Think, would the soft edge or hard edge eraser be better? It all depends on the effect you're trying to create. So there is no true yes or no. It has to do with what you want to do. If you think that you're done, do not get out of your seat. But if you want to quietly talk to the kid that's next to you, they can look at your work and see if they believe that you are done. You are saving it 2 times, right? You're saving it as a PSD, and then you're also saving it as a JPEG. You are turning in the JPEG in order to get a grade.